I remember thinking I wanted to be an actress, and my father saying, no daughter of mine is going to be laying on some casting couch. And my father, for years, I felt such shame about having brought shame to him by having a child out of wedlock that died shortly afterwards, but still the shame of it was there. So when my father said, no daughter of mine is going to be an actress, I just thought, okay, I won't be one. People doubt that your thoughts create reality for you. It doesn't if you're just sitting around thinking, I want something. It doesn't. But there's no question if the energy and the vibrational frequency is correct, is in sync with what is to come your way, that there is a space that you create that allows that to happen. And nothing more than the color purple explains that to me. That's what made a believer out of me. I read a review in the New York Times about the color purple on a Sunday morning. I got out of bed with my pajamas on, put the coat on over my pajamas, went to the bookstore to get the book after reading the review. I started reading it in the bookstore. Dear God, I'm 14 years old. Please tell me what's happening to me. That is my story. Oh my God, somebody else has this story? I go home, I finish the book that day. Before the bookstore closes, I'm back in the bookstore getting every book that they had, which I think was like 8 at the time. I buy all of those books, I hand them out to everybody I know at work, and I become obsessed, literally obsessed with the color purple. And I would walk across the Wacker Street Bridge just so I could run into people who had not read the color purple. I didn't have a book club, so any way I can get you to read it is fine. And I would pass out these books. If somebody said, no, I hadn't heard of it, well, I happen to have one right here. And I heard that they were going to be doing a movie about the color purple. They was Steven Spielberg and Quincy Jones. And as it turns out, I start telling everybody, I'm going to be in that movie. I'm going to figure out a way to be in that movie. I get a call from a casting agent saying, we're casting for a movie called Moonsong. They called it Moonsong at the time. You're casting for a movie called Moonsong? You're sure it's not the color purple? Because I've been praying for the color purple. He goes, no, it's Moonsong. So I go to this audition on a day in Chicago where it was 72 below zero. So cold they had ropes out to keep people from falling down. I had a cold, a sore throat, swollen, and it had wrapped my head. And it was so cold that when you walked outside, your eyelids froze. When I walked in there, I thought, oh my goodness, it is the color purple. Because I know every character. I've read the book. I read for the color purple, and not only am I reading, I'm reading like for a major role. They want me to read for Sophia. She's married to Harpo. And Harpo is my name, spelled backwards. So I think if that is not a sign from Jesus himself, I never saw a sign bigger than that. So I audition, I hear nothing. I ended up months later calling the casting agent saying, I haven't heard anything. He said, you don't call me. What are you calling me for? I call you. And we have real actresses who are auditioning for this part. Alfred Woodard just left my office, he said. She's a real actress. You have no experience. So I hung up the phone, and I knew I'm not going to get the part. So I feel really terrible. I can't even believe this. I think this is a God trick. I think, well, God, what'd you do that for? Why did you take me to the audition, and I'm auditioning, and then it's a Harpo character, and then I'm not going to get it? So I think it's because I'm fat. So I go to this fat farm, and as I am running around the track by myself on a cold, rainy Wisconsin day, I start praying to God out loud, and I say, I don't get it. I really don't get it, God, but I know you do. I don't know if this is some kind of joke or what you're doing with me, but I thought you wanted me to have this part. And I want to be in the space where I can thank you for the opportunity, but I can't now. I can't. It's too hard. Please help me let it go. Help me to let it go. And I start singing, I surrender all. I surrender all. All to thee, my blessed Savior. I surrender all. Now, that song just spontaneously came to me. But when you first start to sing it, you really can't surrender. You're just saying, okay, I'm going to sing the song. I sang and I prayed and I sang and I prayed. I sang and I prayed and I cried until I could feel myself let it go and know you're going to be all right. You're going to be all right. And at first I thought, you're going to be all right, but you won't be able to ever see the movie. You can't see the movie, but you'll be all right. And then I kept praying. I want to pray till I feel like I can actually go see the movie. And I will be able to bless Alfred Woodard in the role. That I'll be able to say, it's a good thing you got it. I want to be able to do that. And in the moment I could say, I can now see Alfred Woodard. I can see that can happen. And I will be okay. My life will go on, and I will not be bitter, and I will not be angry, and I will not hold that, and I will not feel for the rest of my life, she got it and I didn't. I want to have that kind of peace. And in the moment that happened to me, somebody comes running out to the track and says, there's a phone call for you. And there was Steven Spielberg calling to tell me that I hear you had a fat form. And he said, if you lose a pound, you could lose this part. And I ended up stopping at Dairy Queen to make sure I hadn't lost a pound. And the next day I was in his office at Amblin at Universal Studios and got the part. I would have to say one of the fundamental turning points in my life was The Color Purple. Nothing has had a greater impact on me, spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, in determining my path, because it literally changed my faith in that I could see it. It was real. It was real. All my life I had to fight. I had to fight my daddy. I had to fight my uncles. I had to fight my brothers. Girl, child ain't safe in the family names. But I ain't never thought I had to fight in my own house. I loves Harpo. God knows I do. But I kill him dead before I let him beat me.
This life be over soon. Heaven lasts always.
Girl, you ought to bash Mr. Head open and think about heaven later.
God can dream a bigger dream for me, for you, than you could ever dream for yourself. When you've worked as hard and done as much and strived and tried and given and pled and bargained and hoped, surrender. When you have done all that you can do and there's nothing left for you to do, give it up. Give it up to that thing that is greater than yourself, and let it then become a part of the flow. And I have never wanted anything as badly, as hard, as much as The Color Purple. And the wanting of it and then the surrendering of it is what taught me how to live in a space of letting go. You can dream this much, but God has a bigger dream. That The Color Purple is then setting you up for the national Oprah Winfrey show. I didn't know that at the time. So when I ask, What should I do? Should I do this? Should I do this? The bigger question is, what would you, God, the universe, have me do?